Bucknutters, welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, March 24th, 2017. I am Dave Biddle, very happy to be joined by the Dean of Ohio State football recruiting, Bill Kurelic. Bill, it is a big recruiting weekend for the Buckeyes. Just tell the listeners what they need to know regarding the big recruiting weekend.
Well, David, it is a big recruiting weekend in that we're winding down towards the spring game, and the closer you get to the spring game, generally speaking, the more prospects are on campus each week and each weekend, and that's the case. The weekend actually started on Thursday with Zach Harrison, and I have first thing this morning put an article about this on the Bucknuts front page. Zach Harrison, the defensive end from Olentangy Orange High School here in my neck of the woods, tremendous prospect. He visited Ohio State on Thursday, and it went very well. He's got a Buckeye offer. It's not ready to commit yet, but the visit went very well. And then also making a visit to Ohio State on Thursday was defensive back Houston Griffith from Bradenton IMG High School in Florida. And again, that went very well too. But he is on to Penn State to visit the Nittany Lions today. So the weekend actually kicked off with those two, and then it continues today. Michael Johnson, the fine young quarterback from Oregon, visiting Ohio State. He is the number one young dual threat quarterback in the country. Doesn't have an Ohio State offer yet, but perhaps he will. And then you move into Saturday with two big groups, I guess you'd say, or two groups of recruits. You've got what I call the Ohio group visiting the Buckeyes on Thursday, and that's made up of the headliners are three kids the Buckeyes have offered: wide receiver LaChristian Smith, defensive end Tyreek Smith, and linebacker Christopher Oates. All hold offers from Ohio State, and all are scheduled to visit Ohio State for their practice on Saturday. And then you've got the Georgia group coming up that is led by elite 2019 linebacker Owen Popoe, who has an Ohio State scholarship offer, and then defensive back Kenyatta Watson, who doesn't have a Buckeye offer yet, but certainly could. They are both from Grayson High School in Loganville, Georgia. So, those are kind of the headliners. You got the Ohio group and the Georgia group leading the charge.
Is anybody on commit watch this weekend for the Buckeyes?
Yeah, great question with the talent there, Dave. And I certainly have Christian Oates, should say Christopher Oates, on commit watch, the linebacker from Cincinnati Winton Woods. He's long had an Ohio State offer, has for a long time had Ohio State on the top of his list, so certainly he'd be the guy that I'd have on commit watch. That doesn't mean someone that maybe Tyreek Smith could pull the trigger, but I don't expect that. Tyreek has told me he wants to take visits, go through the process, and it's early for him. So I would say Owen Popoe, of course, I wouldn't say he's on commit watch either. He's too early in the process for him. So I would say right now the guy to keep an eye on would be Christopher Oates.
What are the numbers like in the 2018 class? I know things are going to change between now and signing day, but just ballpark estimate, is this going to be a relatively large class for Ohio State? Will it be another relatively small class? Just what do the numbers look like for the 2018 class?
I think a good way to look at that is that there was such a small class graduating, or a small class of seniors this past year for Ohio State, and everybody, a lot of people wondered how in the world is Ohio State going to get even 18, 19 recruits in their 2017 class. Well, lo and behold, as we know, they signed 21 players in that class, and a lot of it was due to NFL attrition and leaving early for the NFL. But I use that as a kind of a measuring stick, and I look at the class of seniors at Ohio State now. It's bigger than the class that just has been coming out. So I think there's going to be a fairly similar attrition. So realizing that the guys heading into their senior year, there's more of those than there was this past season, I think it's realistic to think that Ohio State's going to be at least 21 again for their 2018 class, and I think more like 22 or maybe one or two more. Again, making the comparison of one year to the next of the senior classes, where they were, and what lies ahead with the 2018 class.
Ohio State held its pro day yesterday. It's always an interesting event. This was a lot more uneventful than past pro days. I'm not even comparing it to last year. Last year was just a circus that was an outlier. We're probably not going to see anything like that again. But I say it was uneventful because of the big guys that are going to be drafted for Ohio State. All of them ran well at the combine. Guys like Curtis Samuel, Marshawn Lattimore, Malik Hooker can't run right now. So all those guys that ran well at the combine did not run yesterday. So really the only guy that we were, really interested to see run the 40 was Noah Brown, because he chose not to run at the combine. And he had an unofficial time of 4.57. And I'm told that, whatever the pro day time is, you add 0.15 seconds onto that, and that's pretty much what the NFL teams are going to consider his 40 time to be. So NFL teams are probably going to consider Noah Brown running a 4.72. I still think that's good for him, Bill. I think he helped himself yesterday, whether you say it's a 4.57 or a 4.72, a man his size. I think he's going to be no worse than a fourth-round pick. Just your take on Noah Brown.
Well, I think you're exactly right. I think he did help himself, and that's a good range or good area to put him in for the draft. Having said that, I still think he would have been better off to come back another year and maybe under the Kevin Wilson offense, which I think Buckeye fans are very hopeful is going to improve the passing attack. Maybe he would have flourished and helped himself. But, again, he made that decision. Maybe he makes it work out. I certainly think he could make it all work out. He certainly has some talent, plenty of talent, ability. I think he's got a chance to be drafted approximately where you said, Dave, and from there it's up to him. And I think he's got a chance to do it. And getting back to the class size that we talked about, the 21 this year, again, I think it's going to be at least 22 because when you look at things, I don't necessarily expect quite as much attrition perhaps, but I still think with more guys graduating after this coming season, I just think we're going to hit at least 22 in that class for 2018 when all is said and done.
And before I let you go, really the star of the show yesterday was Bill Belichick. Everybody I noticed wanted to get a picture of Bill Belichick. Now, he wasn't going to pose for pictures, so you would just get a picture of him kind of walking around or talking. He was not going to stop and pose for pictures. Anybody who asked him, he told them no. Imagine that, Bill Belichick.
Imagine that, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know that's shocking everybody out there, but this has to help recruiting. Having just an all-star, absolute rock star like Bill Belichick there, this has to help with recruiting, I would think. When you have, the media and people like that fawning over Belichick, I have to imagine 16, 17-year-old boys are going to be fawning over Bill Belichick.
Yeah, no doubt. And it was no accident that was being tweeted out, that Bill Belichick was at Ohio State and all that yesterday. So the Ohio State staff just does a super job of promoting the program when it comes to recruiting. They are on top of everything, and they do a fantastic job of taking advantage of everything, like you said, Dave, the Bill Belichick's and everything else that they can possibly take advantage of. And that's why one of the reasons that they recruit so well. It's no accident that Ohio State, Urban Meyer, Mark Antoni, and them bring in a great class every single year because they do recruiting so very well.
Great stuff as always from the Dean of Ohio State football recruiting, Bill Kurelic. He does things so well all the time. I really appreciate it, Bill, and thanks to all the listeners out there for tuning into the show. Hope you all have a great day and a great weekend. Let's hear some Buckeye swag, best damn band in the land.